The Advocate, a short time after the business report's first report, the Advocate released their version of the story, quoting a board member, an LSU Board of Supervisors member, saying, quote, "It's a done deal." Apparently, the decision was made yesterday at the executive committee meeting, which we talked about on the show. Told you to keep an eye on that. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But here's what got me, and this is the tell-all. This is what you need to know about this. The Advocate story reads, "Not all board members were involved, and some are miffed, and some were not supportive." They also write that the board member was given anonymity because university officials asked board members to remain quiet. So understand what you have happening here and how we arrived at this point. You have a board member speaking on condition of anonymity to the Advocate because they were asked to remain quiet, but they went and spilled the beans anyway. Why? Because you're not happy. You're ticked about what happened, and you want your story told. You want your voice heard. Board members were miffed. Board members were not supportive. Understand, this was hardly a consensus. So what I'm trying to get you to understand here with this Alleva thing, and this is not new. This is something that has been percolating for many, many months, probably longer than that even. And what you see here is what is very clear is you had division among the Board of Supervisors. We're going to get to the fan feeling about Joe Alleva, and I largely know what that is. We're going to get to that, and we're going to get to what's next for LSU. But what I'm trying to do here is paint the picture of how we arrived at this stage, okay? Two of the most prominent LSU boosters and former board members are Richard Lipsey and Stanley Jacobs. Stanley Jacobs went on the record today with Glenn Guilbeau calling this a terrific idea, firing Joe Alleva. Richard Lipsey has written blog posts and very openly advocated for the firing of both Joe Alleva and F. King Alexander. Those are both former board members who were very much opposed to Joe Alleva. You have this board member talking to the Advocate anonymously saying that some board members were miffed and not supportive of this decision. What that shows you is that there has been dissension on the board. You do not have a unanimous feeling about Joe Alleva. There are some board members that like Joe Alleva, and there are others who have made it their life's mission to get rid of Joe Alleva. So clearly, you are at an impasse. Joe's contract expires at the end in July of 2020. So it is implausible to think that you're just going to bebop along with your athletic director all the way till June 30th of 2020 and say, "Oh, Joe, hey, your last day is tomorrow. Oh, well, what's next in life?" You either extend him, you fire him, he retires, something has to give. But if you had that much dissension, you were never going to come to an agreement to extend Joe Alleva's contract. This was an inevitability. There were always only two questions. When and how did it happen? And we kind of, although we don't have anything official just yet from LSU, do they phrase it as a retirement? Is he, the business report said he's stepping down. Ultimately, Joe's got about 15 months left on his contract. They have to work a buyout, an agreeable number to get to that point where they can separate amicably. And Joe gets whatever financial payout he'll get and they move on. That was one. The when and the how. We know now the when is today and the how is however they announce it when LSU formally announces it. The other question is who's next? And the last time LSU was searching for an athletic director, there were four finalists. There was Joe Alleva, there was an associate AD from Kentucky, there was Verge Osbury and Herb Vincent. Well, Verge Osbury's still at LSU. Herb Vincent is now with the SEC. And then you've got outside potential candidates. And the name that has shot up everybody's awareness today is Scott Woodward from Texas A&M. And there's so much buzz around this. And when you look at people on both sides that are talking openly at this point, not only is LSU targeting Scott Woodward, but the fact that, understand as we play the connect the dots, the fact that before LSU has even formally announced Joe Alleva's departure in whatever way it happens, before that has ever even been formally announced, the fact that there is this much smoke around Scott Woodward's name tells you there is a raging fire there. There is a raging fire. We will go to College Station in less than an hour. We'll talk to Billy Lucci. TexAgs.com. There is nobody in Texas A&M media that is more plugged in than Billy Lucci. That's just a fact. There's nobody there that is more connected than Billy. We'll talk to him in less than an hour from right now. But I want to talk to you throughout the show today. The phone lines are open, 499-1045, toll-free, 844-568-MATT, 844-568-6288. Bottom line, Joe Alleva, all reports are that he's done at LSU. This is not the result of fans at the LSU Vanderbilt game chanting Joe must go. This goes so much higher among political players within the LSU system and the administration and even elected officials. This goes so much higher than angry fans at the Vanderbilt basketball game. And it's led to this day, which was an inevitability, that Joe was not going to survive. So what's next? And who gets their way? Because you better believe, just like you've got board members fighting about whether to keep Joe or get rid of him, you are going to have different factions within the LSU system that support different candidates. How does that go down? And who ultimately gets their way? That's the next big domino to fall.